Hey guys, bringing you the review for Eden Zero, Chapter 122, and yeah. Before I begin, it's just now I realized that it wasn't last week's chapter that was the last one. It's this week's chapter. That's pretty much the last chapter before Machima goes on break because if I remember correctly, I don't think that I don't think that there's another chapter that's first I don't think there's another chapter that's first slated for release after this until the new year, I think. But yeah, so yeah, it's this chapter that's the last one for the year. And but with that said, right out of the gate, one thing I liked is seeing Dr. Mueller's outburst in this chapter because even though on the surface Mashima kind of played it for comedy, in this case it actually makes the whole situation even more disturbing to watch unfold because we know how much of a psychopath he is and what he's capable of and what he's capable of because of what he did to Hermit in the past. And in a certain way, it's funny how history repeats itself with Hermit kind of ending up once again in the same position that she was when she first met Mueller. Although this time around, I imagine things are gonna go a little bit differently because are going to go a little bit differently, and in the end, it's Mueller who's going to be the one who ends up in pieces by the end of this because you have to imagine that from just through the simple act of Mueller restraining Hermit, it's bringing up a lot of old feelings and feelings like that they kind of tend to bubble to the surface to the point where you out of fear out of desperation to survive, just any kind of it brings so many emotions to the surface that you will pretty much do anything in order to survive. And in this case, Hermit is going to Hermit is going to be Hermit is going to end up is going to fight back this time. She basically is not going to let is just not going to let Mueller do what is not going to let Mueller do what she pretty much did to her in the past again. Like she's basically gonna fight back. It's a guarantee. Um, Also, with Clean's freak out, she's pretty much either she with Clean's freak out, and she said that pretty much someone bad is coming. She's either talking about Mueller or possibly someone about to make a splash on Foresta. And assuming it's the former, I think Clean might be the first victim in order for Ziggy's virus. Because even though Clean herself isn't a machine, that hairpin controlling her emotions are. And Mashima has been not so subtly building up that something is going to happen to her. And like Clean is just emotionally unstable. And Chris, this entire time, has been desperately trying to build a dam around her in order to protect her. But that dam, we've again, Smashman has been not so subtly hinting that dam is going to break. So I think we're nearing that point where Clean is going to have a severe breakdown at this point, and it all happens when that hairpin goes haywire, I think. Um, Speaking of what happened on Foresta, though, yeah, let's talk about that because if it's one of those things where the moment that Justice's crew showed up, Majima already created this very tense atmosphere where we as the readers are going, all right, everyone is getting along a little too well. What's going to cause this bubble to burst? And lo and behold, a combination of Justice's arrival on the scene and Shiki's brutal honesty pretty much threw everything into absolute chaos. And right out of the gate, I do kind of love how pretty much Shiki's penchant for like forming bonds and making and trying to make friends, just being like pretty much so damn optimistic and honest about it with people kind of put him and Homura in this mess. But also at this point, we need a fucking backstory and have all the cards laid on the table because at this point, Justice really is letting his awareness and judgment of the current situation be clouded by his anger towards Elsie. And one little detail I like to reinforce this is how Creed and Victory had if you look carefully, Creed and Victory had basically hesitated for a moment even before capturing Homura. pretty much showing they know that justice is kind of falling off the deep end. So they might be the ones who, in the end, end up pretty much interfering with this fight between Shiki and him, and just and pretty much try and bring justice down to like some like pretty much level of reality, or just try and reason with him the best they can, in order for him to just kind of stop and just at least work together a little bit. However, just the fact that Justice has this amount of hatred and rage towards Elsie at all also shows that there is more than a few skeletons in Elsie's closet we don't know about. And if it is true, we don't know much about her history so far. So like the only thing we know about Elsie's history is that at one point she basically formed a bit of a familial bond between Ziggy and the four Starshines, but that's all we know about her. So it's one of those things. For as much as Justice is acting like a hateful, as much as Justice is acting like an idiot for letting his rage consume him and not looking at the bigger picture of Forester's situation, there might be a reason for this. We just kind of need a backstory in order to see, okay, what happened in the past between Elsie and Justice. Because as it stands right now, I'm kind of in the camp of saying the whole thing is kind of a situation where pretty much someone Justice had cared about ended up dying in pretty much the crossfire of one of his and Elsie's battles, but it was kind of all happened on accident. Like, it wasn't intentional, but it was still something that affected him enough in order to hate Elsie entirely. Like, yeah, it's something like that. It could be just kind of like a misunderstanding thing, but at the same time, that misunderstanding could still be a large reason as to why he holds so much hatred towards her. I'm just saying, it's like, yeah, there is something here for sure. Now, I do admit, if I had a problem with this chapter, and it's a very minor one, is that I'm not sure how I feel about Squad 6 getting taken out so soon. I mean, in context of just the team being the ones to take them out, it does make sense as they're more efficiently trained in order to fight and capture people like that than Shiki and his friends. So it would make sense that pretty much Justice and his team would so easily take out Squad 6. But it almost feels like a slightly wasted opportunity, considering that they were the much stronger unit than the people Shiki and his friends just took out. So yeah, it's like, on one hand I get it, but on the other hand, I would like to at least see what Squad 6 could do, and there is still a possibility of that happening. But as it stands, it's like, I think you could have kept that going for a little bit longer, honestly. But now, having said that as well, though, one caveat I will say is that with two units in the Commando Beast team having been taken out now, I think it kind of pushes forward even more an appearance of Shura. It pushes an appearance from Shura to pretty much the forefront. Like, at this point, I think an appearance by pretty much Shura is inevitable at this point. And it's just a matter of when when we should expect him to show up. And honestly, the more I think about it, the more I realize that's probably who Clean was sensing. So yeah, he's probably gonna make. I think the person that pretty much Clean said that pretty much someone bad is here. I think that's who Clean was talking about, and that could just with an appearance of Shura, that could be just what is needed in order for like Shiki and Justice in order to squash the bullshit. Because really, who's pretty much better to do that than a raving lunatic with the same powers as our protagonist? Like, really, if you're gonna bring like pretty much two opposing sides together, the best one to do that is Shura. And it's also at this point, I think I'm realizing how much of a shit show this whole arc is about to become for our heroes. Like, this thing is turning into a bonkers. this thing is getting bonkers for. It's just getting bonkers. Like it's insane how much this arc is beating our heroes down. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Analyst, or Crunchyroll. That Night of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.